Hey everyone, factoring into today's video, we're going to do the second winter 2014-2015 seasonal model roundup today. We're going to get 10 long-range seasonal models together, can you believe, and see what they're all showing for the winter. Now, not every model goes out the whole winter. The first 2 or 3 only go up to January, but the rest of them, after that, will go up throughout the whole winter period from December to February. Last month, the general consensus was quite a coldish update, actually, with a trough somewhere around northwestern Europe and cold air probably feeding in to that trough out of Greenland via Greenland blocking. We'll see what the models are showing for this month's update, the second update, in a moment. Before I get on with that, though, just say about the ads. There's links to articles sitting underneath the weather video here on my homepage at GazWeathers.com. If you have a browse through your widget, you'll be able to see if there's any articles that you're interested in. But if there is an article that you're interested in, just click through. You'll be able to go off when you finish at GazWeathers, of course, and read that article. At the same time, GazWeathers will get a royalty fee on what you're doing. Thanks so much for doing that. There's blue keyword ads on some pages. If you right cursor over the blue keyword, it'll display an ad. But if you click through the word, that's the key, click through the word, and you'll go to advertise website. You're having to support GazWeathers. Thanks so much for doing that. And finally, there's a new ad unit down near the discuss comment box at the bottom of the homepage here. And again, have a browse through. There are links going to the website, so if there's any link that you're interested in within that ad unit, just click through when you finish at GazWeathers. And all these things are essentially helping to support the website. They're helping to pay for GazWeathers.com. And very exciting developments for next weekend, because I'm going to be launching Gaz Shop. Can you believe, next weekend the Amazon shop is coming back. So if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon, hang on for another week, and then from next weekend you'll be able to go through via the links, the Amazon banners in Gaz Shop. You have to go through to Amazon, do your Christmas shopping as normal. At the same time, GazWeathers will get a royalty fee on what you're buying. And to celebrate, I'll be starting the Christmas update as well from a long-range CFS model next weekend. So things really happening next weekend if you're interested in Christmas. Right, I've done enough talking, and or just to say finally that all of the charts that are in this video, you can get links to them via the links page. So if you want to see anything for yourself, you'll be able to get to those websites via the links page. Thanks very much to those websites for allowing me to use their information. And it's going to be quite a long video, so if you can't watch it all in one sitting, don't worry, the video will be kept around GazWeathers for the foreseeable future. Right, all of that done. Now let's get on with it. And well, just going to bring the camera back because look at this. The Russian model has returned. Very kindly, my good friend Nushka from the weatheroutlook.com forum has supplied me with the link to the Russian model. So it's back. We've got the Russian back, and we're going to have a look at what it's showing right now. Thanks so much, Nushka. I know you'll be watching this video. Thanks so much to Nushka for letting me have the new link to the Russian model. So here we go. We're going through from November to January with this, and it's temperature anomaly, temperature probability based on excuse me. Their model is a probability-based model. So what we're looking at here, when we're in these red colours, for instance, as we are in this update, is that we've got a very strong probability. The probability is very strong for above normal temperatures through the November to January period. It's a little bit different. It's hard to explain probability, but probability is very slightly different to a generic sort of temperature anomaly. But in any case, the Russian model is going for red colours here, so above average temperatures being predicted for November to January. Let's have a look at the precipitation anomaly, the rainfall anomaly, and go down. Here we can see that we've got those white to green colours, so the probability is for above normal rainfall for the November to January period. So warm and wet basically sums it up for the coming 3-monthly period. We'll be seeing a lot more of a Russian model, I promise you, over the next few months. Now, the next model is the experimental APEC Climate Centre model. This is a collaboration of the South Korean Met Agency and various other Met agencies. Well, I think the Japanese is in there, probably the Australian as well. A collaboration, maybe the Chinese, a collaboration of several Met agencies. These are 500 metre heights for November to January, and we can see that for this, the model is going for a trough of low pressure to be centred around it, very slightly to the south of Iceland. Got a strong ridge sitting to the east of the country just there, and the overall idea is that we're bringing up generally a southerly to southwesterly flow with that. It's quite unsettled and it's pretty mild for November to January. Have a look at the temperature forecast. We can see that we're predicted to have above normal temperature anomalies for November to January. Very warm there to the northeast, across much of Scandinavia and western Russia. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, it's for a mild of an average November to January period, and not surprisingly, with a trough of low pressure so deep around Iceland, also a wetter than average November to January signal being indicated. So very much as you were, agreement between the APEC and the Russian so far. Let's go on and have a look at another one. We've got the Japanese next. Now, I did the JMA update the other day, a couple of weeks ago, showing you what the Japanese model was predicting for going up to January. It's November to January, this particular period, not the full winter period. Don't want to dwell on it too much, but we're going to start with December. 500 millibar height anomalies first of all for December, and we see that we're over here in the very far top right hand corner as you're looking, and again it's very similar to the first two models. We've got a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. The ridge is out in the middle part of the Atlantic, a strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic, something like that. So December looking unsettled and mild with a westerly jet stream. You would expect above average temperatures with that, and that is indeed what the Japanese model is seeing for December. Warmer than average temperature anomalies, and in terms of the rainfall, coming out wetter than average. Going through to January, the third month of this update. It's November to January, remember, from the JMA. For this month, have the full winter period next month. The January anomaly, very similar. We've got the deep trough of low pressure still in the Atlantic, pushing a little bit further north, ridging going on around Spain and Portugal, strong westerly jet stream coming across again. So the temperature anomaly for January is coming out warmer than average, and if anything on that sort of anomaly, probably it would be a warmer month than December, to be honest, in terms of the anomaly anyway. And with such a deep trough in the Atlantic, not surprisingly, rainfall is coming out above average again. So the first three models are all seeing a warmer and wetter than average period from November through to January. The next batch of charts that we're looking at are going to be covering the full winter period. Got the experimental model from NASA next. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly for December to February for the winter. And look at this, we've got a trough of low pressure around the British Isles. We've got ridging going on to the south with those orange colours around Spain and Portugal. There's a strong westerly jet stream coming through with that again. We have got a little bit of ridging going on the eastern seaboard of the United States, just trying to stretch up towards Greenland, so we could at times entrench some colder air into that trough, but overall it's not a cold pattern. We haven't got a great deal of blocking, and with those heights down to the south of Spain and Portugal, we would be pushing up warm air at times. So the temperature anomaly is coming out to average to milder than average here across the British Isles in those yellow colours. So yeah, a milder than average month being signalled, if anything. Although the cold isn't that far away, it's out in the Atlantic. But look how warm it is across central and eastern parts of Europe. Overall, a very warm or mild winter being signalled for most of Europe from the experimental NASA model for this winter. Having a look at the precipitation anomaly, rainfall anomaly shows that we're coming out wetter than average in those yellow colours there for the British Isles, as is most of Central Europe as well, to be honest. It's not a surprise, there's a trough of low pressure more or less over the country, slightly to the north. So you would expect an unsettled month, and that is what the model is seeing, or an unsettled season I should say, and that is what the model is seeing from December to February. So all the models so far in agreement for mild and wet so far for the winter. We'll go and have a look at the Brazilian model next. These are 500 millibar heights for the globe, actually, and always a little bit different with these. The blue colours are showing us where we've got high pressure, whereas the yellow and orange red colours are showing us where we've got low pressure. That's usually the other way around on a typical 500 millibar height anomaly chart. Now, this one is a little bit different. It's not great, but it's a little bit different. It's showing that we've got these blue colours in the central part of the Atlantic, so we've got bridging, some sort of bridging high pressure there. Also, you can't really see it, but I think it is indicating above average heights for Greenland there. Certainly a signal there. Got above average heights going on in Greenland. We've got not deep low pressure, but below average heights really sitting to the southwest around Spain and Portugal, and a deep trough there across the United States. Now, I have to say, if we're going to have a weak central-based El Nino, this is much more the pattern that I would expect to see with a central-based El Nino compared to all of the other models that we've looked at so far. This one is much closer to the sort of pattern that I would expect with a central-based Modoki El Nino. We've got this ridging here on the western side of the United States. We've got the trough there through mainly central and eastern parts of the United States, northern parts of the States as well. Another ridge in the Atlantic, hinting at trying to form a trough down to the south of the British Isles, and then another ridge over in towards the east of Europe. The jet stream is going south through the United States, so cold air will be entrenching within that, then rising up around the ridge and possibly going as far north of Greenland, and then maybe coming southwards, something like that. So we could almost be on the cold side of the jet there with that sort of 500 millibar anomaly chart. If you want a cold winter, that's slightly better than anything that we've seen so far. However, the temperature anomaly isn't great, but then it very often isn't on these seasonal models. I think they are biased towards warm. For instance, look at the states. Most of the states here is coming out warmer than average despite this trough, and that really doesn't make sense. We've got a very deep trough there across central, eastern parts of the states. Very cold air has been entrenched into that trough from Canada. So it just doesn't make sense, really, that temperature anomaly for America. The warmth is right for the western coast around Pacific. You would expect to be warmer than average there and going up towards Alaska with the ridging. But elsewhere, you would be expecting a cold winter. So don't worry too much about the temperature anomalies on these charts. They are always biased, really, towards milder conditions. Nevertheless, it's showing a milder than average winter there for the British Isles. And in terms of the rainfall anomaly, well, it's average to wetter than average, and the wetter than average conditions are centred down southwest, just telling us that that trough is digging down towards Spain and Portugal, if anything. So, not great in terms of the temperature anomaly, but in terms of the actual pattern, I think that's a little bit more promising than what we've had so far. Hugues van der Doel next. Now, I've looked at this earlier in the month, of course. Hugues is an American-based long-range forecaster. These are not model-based, these are analog-based. So what Hugues has done is taken the sea surface temperature anomalies across the globe through the course of September, and then look back to past years where we had a similar sea surface temperature anomaly and attempted to create an analog based forecast going forward. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly for December to February that Hugues is seeing. It's been a very consistent signal for the last few months. The above average heights there centred around Greenland and going north to the northern part of Scandinavia as well. A trough of low pressure underneath it. So the North Atlantic Oscillation is very negative. With this, Hugues is still going for a negative NAO blocking to the north, trough to the south, and you would expect a colder than average winter through most of the mid latitudes. And there we go. We see a very cold winter being signalled for most of Russia, and that cold backs in towards most of Europe as well. Also, central eastern parts of the United States having a cold winter. Also, warmer across Canada, where we've got blocking and going up towards Greenland. Now the British Isles is just here, and again it's been a consistent signal from Hugues, very much sort of on the periphery of the mild Atlantic air in the Atlantic and the cold air centred to central and eastern parts of Europe, and we're sort of near normal, but again similar to the last few updates on that sort of setup, you will be expecting cold air to be pushing in at fairly regular intervals from the east and the north at times. So even if we don't get a completely cold winter, you would certainly expect some cold conditions to be developing at times. All the green curves are out in the Atlantic. That's above average rainfall in the Atlantic. We've got the Yellow colours there for Scandinavia, indicating excuse me, blocking to be taking place across Scandinavia, areas of high pressure at times up there. Notice the yellow colours around Greenland as well, indicating risk of blocking through there. So overall, very similar setup from Hugo van der Doel for the winter, and it's for a negative NAO with cold air threatening at times most of Europe having a very cold winter. CFS V2 next, another product from NER in the United States. This is model based, and look what the CFS V2 is seeing for the 700 millibar high anomaly for December to February. Trough of low pressure to the north, a ridge of high pressure in the central part of the Atlantic. The jet stream run through like that. So again, it's back to the pattern that we were seeing through the earlier models, a mild winter being signalled here and unsettled as well. Let's have a look at the temperature anomaly and look at that. Most of Europe having warmer than average temperatures. Actually out in the west we're closer to north, but nowhere seems to have a cold winter across Europe, and most parts are above average. And it's not surprising with the jet stream so strong and running through. The precipitation anomaly coming out wetter than average there, as it is for most of Europe. So warm wet winter or mild wet winter being signalled from the CFS V2, very much in line with all the other models, or most of the other models that we've been looking at. Beijing Climate Centre next, and this one, if you remember a couple of months ago, was showing the chance of a very cold winter, but it has changed, it's flipped, and what it's seeing now, it's not in line with the CFS and most of the other models we've been looking at. It's actually going for a ridge of high pressure to be centred more or less over top of the British Isles actually, so very quiet winter really being signalled there, a lot of dry weather if that is right. Very different to the other models. All the other models that have been mild have been generally unsettled, but this one is mild and settled, if anything, for the winter. If we have a look at the temperature anomaly, we're coming out warmer than average. Not surprising, because there's a mid-latitude high to go over the country. Could get inversions under that at times, could get mist and fog and frost by night, but generally the temperature anomaly warmer than average. The rainfall anomaly coming out, if anything, a little bit drier than average. That's a slightly odd update really from the Beijing Climate Centre. It's very different to all of the other models, but it certainly has backed away from that strong signal that it had a couple of months ago for a cold winter. UK Met Office, and look away now, get behind the settee, get behind the sage long if you want a cold winter, because you'll remember last month the UK Met, I said it was as bad as it gets if you want a cold winter, the pattern it was showing, and well, I've got to tell you, it got even worse. Look at this. We've got these very, very deep blue colours there through Iceland and Greenland. We've got the ridging down around the Azores. The North Atlantic Oscillation is positive, and it's on steroids positive, really. The jet stream, very, very strong, coming across the Atlantic, just like that, blasting in to the British Isles and Europe as well. So it's the same as last month's update. Very strong jet stream, very strong positive North Atlantic Oscillation, a wet, mild, unsettled winter being signalled. Temperature anomalies are coming out warmer than average, or average to warmer than average. I expect it to be milder than that actually with that pattern. And the rainfall anomaly, not surprising is it, is coming out wetter than average. It would be another deluge, I think, on that sort of sea surface pressure anomaly. I think we'll be looking at another deluge of a winter with that, and probably very stormy as well. Finally, going through to the Jamstec IOD, are we going to see a model that indicates a colder than average winter? Well, yes we are. Look at this. The Jamstec is still going just about for blue colours there across the British Isles and Ireland. So a very slightly colder than average winter is being predicted by the Jamstec IOD, but it's backed off a lot from last month. Last month it was going for a really cold winter. The depth of cold has backed off a tremendous amount in this month's update. Most of Europe is coming out warmer than average, and it's a bit bizarre really that we should be perched right on the end of Europe and having a colder than average winter when most of Europe is so warm. And big moderation from last month as well. Most of America though still forecast have a colder than average winter. Finally, having a look at the precipitation anomaly, we can see that we're still signalling some blocking there around Iceland to the south of Greenland. Going further southwards of the map, there's wetter than average conditions going through the Atlantic in towards France, Spain and Portugal. So the North Atlantic Oscillation is still signalled really to be below average, to be negative with this. We've got high pressure up here, we've got low pressure underneath it. So that's why we're still just about holding on to a colder than average winter. But why most of Europe has turned so warm on this update, I'm not sure. I think the JAMSTEC probably has a tendency when it's at an extended range to have colder temperature anomalies than actually occur, and then as it gets closer it sort of starts moderating really. I think that's what we've seen this month. Nevertheless, it's the only model out of these 10 that is actually going for a colder than average winter for the United Kingdom. If you want a cold winter, take what you can get because that's the only one that's showing it. Excuse me. Otherwise, the models have really done a turnaround this month. They're nearly all mild, really, and unsettled, going for positive NAO, low pressure around Iceland, high pressure through the Azores, strong westerly jet stream coming across the Atlantic into Europe. That is sort of the direction that the models have taken for this update. We'll see what they're showing for the third update, but this happened last year. I'm sure you remember last year we started off in September. Not too bad in terms of cold, and then there was a flip around later on. It seems to have happened again this month, this October, that we've gone towards a milder than average solution for the winter. We'll see what they're showing next month. I think November's update will be pretty crucial. So not a great update if you want a cold winter, but there we are. I've got to call it as I said, as the charts show it, and that's what they're showing. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching.